New Year.
Here we are. I'm so glad you're here joining us for this service today. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in Fullerton, California. Please join me in our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. I have a couple of announcements. Maybe you want to join our club. We have a prosperity club, and people are tithing their unexpected income, and it has soared up to $8,575. Wow, that's tremendous. I want to remind you that we're having our congregational meeting on the 24th. Voting members can attend that day, and we'll let you know how we're going to do it, because after all. And we're still working on our slogan. If you know something really good that rhymes with 21, please submit it to the office here, and we'll decide next Sunday. So it's time for our invocation. So please join me as we breathe into prayer. Right now, I rejoice in the infinite presence within and all around us. God is the vitality of every breath, the beauty of the natural world, and the light in our lives. As God is all in all, we know that we are perfect expressions of God love, God wisdom, and God compassion. As I pray now, my heart beats in harmony with the rhythm of God. The pulse of God's infinite love is my pulse of life. And I know there are blessings now for each member of this congregation who joins us today at home and those here in fellowship with us. There are abundant blessings for our dear Board of Trustees as they look after the business affairs of our center. We're so grateful for our dedicated practitioners who keep our congregation, our friends and relatives, and our communities in affirmative prayer. There are blessings for our talented musicians, Michael Whitney and Tommy Cosentino, who is also the talent behind our beautiful graphics on our television monitor. I bless our Director of Operations, Tomoko Hanamuri Rosas, for her dedication, all her abilities, and her cheerful efficiency. There are abundant blessings for our friend and speaker today, Reverend Carol Bliss, whose message today is expanding into infinite light. She is such a blessing to our community and an inspiration to all. So in deepest gratitude for all the blessings of life, for health and healing and joy, and for the opportunities open to us in this new year, 2021, I release my words into the perfect working of divine law and let them be. And so it is.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Here I am again. My name is Sally Stredler. I'm a practitioner here in this beautiful center. And my reading today is taken from the newspaper a couple days ago, Resolving to Make Next Year Better. Happy New Year! How did those 2020 resolutions turn out for you? Probably about the same as mine. I have a feeling that for most of us, this year set the bar pretty low for new promises for 2021. In preparation for this column and this new year, I read last year's column. This writer says, her name is Gail Carleen, to find out what I promised to do. As it turns out, I mostly resolved to learn Spanish. I'm happy to report I've been using the app on my phone religiously, and I complete my lessons every day. The bad news is that I still sound like a Midwesterner, and I tend to freeze in any attempt at conversation. I don't understand how all these lovely words that I know leave my brain the moment I try to use them. I plan to blame this on 2020. As I have not been able to converse with very many people in any language. The pandemic can be as useful as having your dog eat your homework. Let me be clear. I hate this virus. I hate what it has done to people all over the world, not only in its destruction, but in the way it has separated us and divided us. I miss smiling with my entire face at the grocery store clerk. I miss hugging my library director. I miss having a drink at the bar while I wait for my pizza. Still, I feel this time has taught me so much, which has affected this year's resolutions. For example, I've learned to be more honest with myself. Instead of resolving to lose weight, I'm resolving not to gain any more. Being at home so much has meant snacking. Do I need those Reese's? No. Do I want the Reese's? I promise I'll pace myself. I'm also resolving to get up and move more. This shouldn't be hard to do. Both dogs like to bark until I stand up. I could just take a lap around the house when they do that, or maybe ask Alexa to play a little music and take a dance break. At least I could put the Reese's in the furthest room on the top shelf. Seriously, I resolve never to say again, someday I'd like to do that. I'm not even talking about the big trips I'd like to take and places I'd like to see. I'm talking about wanting to visit that little antique shop someday, or tour that local museum someday, or take that cheesy Hollywood tour someday. Before 2020 came along, I took someday for granted. When the worst of this is past and the vaccine has spread far and wide, I am visiting that little shop and the museum and getting on that tour bus, even if I have to schedule it in my calendar. I'm only hoping the shop, the museum, will still exist when this is all over. The end of 2020 does not mean that we will wake up tomorrow in a problem-free world. We've still got great things to accomplish. But the new year gives us hope that something better is around the corner. It can be if we resolve to make it so. Please join me in prayer. This is a prayer from Science of Mind magazine, written by a dog. His name is Murphy, the human whisperer. And his prayer says, I pray conflicts and struggles leave your life as quietly and easily as dark clouds on a stormy summer day, that thousands of petals from love's most perfect flowers fall before each step you take and comfort you on your journey. I pray the essence and beauty of all the love songs in the world fill your ears and heart with joy. I pray the fire in your heart, the light in your eyes, and wisdom of your soul continue to give you the power and courage to live a rich and full life. I pray you grasp the depth of love that is felt for you. I pray you always know you are love. I pray your smiles lead to laughter. I pray you allow yourself to fly with eagles. I pray you find your still, small voice and sing the songs of sparrows. I pray you always know you are not alone. I pray that when you look into my eyes, you will see how much I care for you. I pray some part of you knows we will always be together. Amen.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through every field. One spirit, is in this very room, in this very room.
Thank you for the strength of that prayer. You sounded like a father, and I believed that in this very room is enough power and enough peace to last us all year long. And thank you so much, Sally, for the prayer from the dog. Have you ever thought about how many animals might be praying for us right now? Because they are without language, and their prayers. I never thought about that. So thank you so much. And I have thought and thought about moving and expanding into light. And do you know anyone who is moving backwards? Any creature, any animal, any bird that is not moving forward? I did not think so. How about you, Selma? Selma seems to know a lot, so I'm checking with her. So, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy new month and happy new era. It is a time where the rush of consciousness moves us forward, and we are expanding into light. The atoms that make up our reality, everything we know of, the rocks, the plants, the trees, account for less than 5% of the known universe. The other 95%, well, is dark. Around a quarter of the universe is made from stuff known as dark matter, and the other 70% or so is dark energy. The universe is always growing and expanding, larger and larger all the time, expanding into light. We have got to believe that, and we have got to know that, and we have got to declare it. Because this rush of the new year, this rush of consciousness is supporting us, and we are all in this together. So when the calendar changed, our expectations got higher and brighter. So the momentum of that principle will carry us further and further ahead, and we are always expanding in light. I got up on New Year's morning, and I so looked forward to the Rose Parade. And I got my wish. Reverend Chris, who used to be the best friend of Reverend Annette, she had planned for the whole congregation to make miniature floats. And so these maybe 12 people said, I will do that, and 12 people worked on their own with a float. And they showed that float on Zoom. And you could not believe how creative that they were. One was the Garden of Eden. It featured all these trees and all this light. And it was so beautiful. And the next float was about inviting friends over to the person's backyard for coffee and tea. And she had created a miniature gazebo and a pond, just like the pool that she had. And she was so hopeful that we would be back together to have coffee and tea in her backyard. And the next float was my favorite of all. It was a steam train, and it was painted black, and it had Chris and Jim and Jackie and Greg in the windows, and it had me riding on the back on a caboose. It was so creative, and the congregants spent 2 weeks making their floats. And Jim was the grand marshal. He wore a white tuxedo, and he set out the pace car, a Corvette, and a 1939 Model T, and it was so enjoyable. And the congregants did that out of love. They knew that they had to do it to participate. And their participation moved them into greater creativity. None of those people were artists. None of them were float builders. But something in them rose up to connect with other people. And in squares, everybody showed their float. And I could imagine it all put together. And I was so happy that they were sharing their talents and their creativity with me. And I know that every single person has creativity inside of them. Every single person has intelligence inside of them, and it poured forth in those floats. We are all so gifted, so much more than we know. And KCRW, on the last day of the year, they recorded snippets of the voices of people who had died, who were musicians. And it was so amazing. They played 7 seconds of each person. And they played Helen Reddy. They played the writer of the Jefferson's theme song, Moving On Up. McCoy Tyner's voice was heard. Kenny Rogers' voice was heard. Bill Withers' voice was heard. Ellis Marcellus' voice was heard. Millie Small, the writer of My Boy Lollipop. Little Richard, Jimmy Cobb, Trini Lopez, Charlie Pride, and K.T. Oslin. And what I remember most about that broadcast was that there was no voice that did not sound so much like the person. So much uniqueness in that voice, and so many gifts they gave to the world. And I thought to myself, nothing is ever lost. When we feel that we are losing something, we are creating space for something new to come in. And their voices, these people, will never be lost. They will go down into history, and they will make everybody happy when we sing, Moving On Up to the Side. That was so joyful, and you could hear the joy in their voices. And we have so many gifts inside of us. Darwin said, it is not the most intelligent who thrive. It is not the strongest who thrive. It is the most adaptable. And we are adaptable people. Look how much you have adapted this year. The stories that you have told in the newsletter, the passages that you have written, are all about adaptation. So, this rush is upon us right now. And Ernest Holmes said, all people are not only a center of God consciousness, they are immortal beings, forever expanding, forever spiraling upward, forever growing in spiritual stature. We are all in the process of spiritual evolution, but there is certainly certainty behind us, certainty before us, and certainty with us at this very moment. The eternal light will break through to wherever we permit it. Potentially, everything that is to be exists now, but our spiritual vision has not yet become completely in tune with the infinite. So at this new era, at this new year, let us affirm that we are moving and expanding into light, because the light wavelengths are getting longer, and they are breaking through dark matter and dark energy, and we are becoming lighter, more adaptable, more capable to do anything that we want to do. And I have recently been reading Terry McBride. Perhaps you all know him. He is a big inspiration, and he spoke at many centers for spiritual living churches. And The reason that I have read Terry McBride is that I hurt my back. And Terry McBride went through 27 back surgeries before he was 29. He had an infection in his spine known as E. coli. And one day he said to himself, "That's it. I will be healed and I will be pain-free." And from that moment on, his body changed and his body began to recover. They said that he would never, ever, ever recover. At 25, he had a colostomy. At 25, he was supposed to lose his left leg, and he would never be strong enough to lift his baby daughter up again. And he made that decision out of love. He said, "The hell I can't. I am going to lift my baby daughter up. I am going to take her on a piggyback ride. I am going to throw her up in the air." And from that point on, his body began to heal. So this declaring at the new year, it comes from the faith and belief that anything is possible. No matter what has gone on before, you can start anew. This momentum that we feel from the new year will support you. You can declare a new way of being. And I am declaring right now that my back will heal. I am declaring that I will go hiking for 2.5 miles, 4 if I so choose, because I am young and I cannot have this back pain. I refuse to let it limit me. And I know that you all have issues and so-called problems. And I want you to declare right now that you are not limited in any way. The power of God is always in you, flowing through you. This great and majestic power of God is supported by unknown forces. This invisible energy of God is moving through you right now, through your beating heart, through your breath. And I will ask you again, did you ever know of any living creature, person, fish, bird, coyote, deer, elk, that is moving backward? Because the principle of life is to move forward. Whoever you are and whatever you are working on, declare that you are moving forward into light, because that is the way that it shall be. The rush of consciousness is expanding right now. It is all over the world. All over the world, people are expecting a great difference because we have moved into 2021. The past is prelude to the future. And the future can be anything we want it to be, because the power of God is in our hearts. We have a momentum like no other. This was a gift from a person called Life. And it's called To Bless the Space Between Us. And it was written by John O'Donohue, who also wrote Anna Karam, and he made popular Celtic spirituality. Somewhere out at the edges, the night is turning, and the waves of darkness begin to brighten the shore of dawn. The heavy dark falls back to the earth, and the freed air goes wild with light. The heart fills with fresh, bright breath, and thoughts stir to give birth to color. I arise today in the name of silence, womb of the world, in the name of stillness, hope of belonging, in the name of solitude, of the soul of the earth. I arise today, blessed by all things, wings of breath, delight of eyes, wonder of whisper, intimacy of touch, eternity of soul, urgency of thought, miracle of health, embrace of God. May I live this day compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, generous in love. I know that you all have all of those qualities within you, and when you rise up, it's a new day. So, I will now do a prayer and listen to the music of Tommy. So I know that on this day, we go forward, expanding into light, expanding into who we will become. The past is gone. The future is bright. The pathway is lit before us. When we go inside and listen to our intuition, we will know what to do and who to bless this day. So I declare that the rush of consciousness, this momentum, is like no other, moving us forward into expanding light. So I declare for every person listening to this broadcast that they are moving forward in light. I bless all of this spiritual community. I bless my neighbors. I bless my town. I bless the nation. I bless the world. I bless all political leaders, knowing that they are moving towards good. And most of all, I know that we and those that we love are expanding in light. It can be no other way. And so I say, and so it is. Amen, amen, amen.
Thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
And now, offerings. And I bless this gift, knowing that it goes out into the world, blessing others, and multiplies back to me more than I can ever imagine. And I would like to thank everyone for their ongoing contributions to support this great ministry, to support love going out, and to support light in the world. And so it is. Amen.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. Hear babies cry, I'll watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What a beautiful song. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Tommy, and thank you for that beautiful graphic of the world. So, I would like to say that practitioners are available to take your calls. Requests can be submitted through our website or email. So, if you would like to rise up and celebrate this new day and say with me, something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is happening in my body.
It is happening in my body.
It is happening in my mind.
It is happening in my mind.
It is happening in all my affairs.
It is happening in all my affairs.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Declare it.
Declare it.
What a great year.
What a great year.
Thank you so much.